The DNA results were supposed to end the chaos. Instead, they started a new nightmare. Because when the test confirmed that Daniel and Amara were siblings, everyone in the room went silent. But what none of us knew was that someone had already planned for that result. And 3 days later, I discovered a secret that proved the DNA test might not be the truth at all. When the DNA results came in, I thought the mystery had finally been solved. Amara and Daniel were siblings, which meant the rumors about their relationship were wrong. But instead of relief, the room filled with tension. Daniel looked confused. Amara looked pale. And Daniel's mother, Margaret, looked terrified. I noticed it immediately. Her hands were trembling. Her eyes refused to meet anyone else's. That was the moment I realized something was very wrong. Later that night, Daniel and I sat alone in the living room. Neither of us knew what to say. "This changes everything," he whispered. I nodded slowly. "But something about it doesn't make sense." Daniel frowned. "What do you mean?" I hesitated before answering. "If Amara is really your sister, why did your mother react like that?" Daniel looked troubled. "My mom has always been secretive." But deep down, we both knew this situation felt bigger than a simple family secret. And the next morning, things became even stranger. Because Margaret disappeared. No phone calls. No explanation. Just gone. 2 days later, while Daniel searched for his mother, I went to the old family house. I wasn't sure why. Something just told me the answers might be there. The house was quiet. Dust covered the furniture. But in Margaret's bedroom, I found something unexpected. A locked wooden box hidden in the closet. At first I hesitated. Then curiosity took over. Inside the box were old photographs, letters, documents, and one envelope labeled in red ink. "Do not open." Of course. I opened it. Inside was a medical report dated 27 years ago. And when I read it, my heart nearly stopped. The document wasn't a normal medical record. It was a hospital report from the day Daniel was born. But something about it was strange. 2 babies had been delivered in that hospital that night. Daniel. And another child. The report described a mix-up in the maternity ward. My hand started shaking. Because suddenly everything made sense. The DNA test hadn't proven Daniel and Amara were siblings. It had only proven they shared the same mother. But what if one of them had been switched at birth? When Daniel returned home, I showed him the report. He read it slowly. His face drained of color. "This can't be real." "But it is," I said quietly. Daniel sank into a chair. "All these years, my mother knew?" Before either of us could process the truth, the front door suddenly opened. Margaret walked inside. She looked exhausted. But when she saw the document in Daniel's hands, she froze. Daniel stood up slowly. "Mom, tell me the truth." Margaret's voice trembled. "I was hoping you would never find that." Tears filled her eyes as she spoke. "Yes, there was a mix-up in the hospital." Daniel's voice shook. "Then Amara isn't my sister?" Margaret closed her eyes. "No." Silence filled the room. Then Daniel whispered the question none of us were prepared for. "Then who is she?" Margaret looked directly at me. And the answer she gave felt like another earthquake. "She's the daughter of the man who destroyed our family." My heart pounded. "Destroyed your family, how?" Margaret's voice dropped to a whisper. "Because Amara's father." She paused. "Is the reason Daniel's real father disappeared." The truth we had just uncovered was only the beginning. Because if Daniel and Amara weren't siblings, then the DNA test had been manipulated. Which meant someone had wanted us to believe that lie. And when we discovered who ordered that test, We realized something terrifying. The real mastermind behind everything had been standing beside us the entire time. The night I discovered my engagement was part of a deal. I thought the worst was already behind me. I was wrong. Because the man who paid for Daniel to propose to me was someone who had been standing beside us the entire time. Someone who toasted our engagement. Someone who hugged my mother. Someone who smiled in our family photos. And when I finally learned his name, I understood why my best friend had tried so desperately to stop the wedding. Because this wasn't just about love. It was about power. And my marriage was the final piece of someone else's plan. Daniel didn't want to tell me. I could see it in his eyes. Fear. Guilt. Regret. But when someone's life is built on secrets, silence becomes another form of betrayal. Tell me who paid you, I demanded. He looked at the floor before finally whispering a name. And the moment I heard it, my entire world tilted. Because I knew him very well. Victor Hale. My father's closest business partner. The man who helped build our family company. The man who had watched me grow up. The man who once called me like a daughter. Victor Hale had been sitting at the same table when Daniel proposed. Clapping. Smiling. Celebrating. While secretly knowing the entire engagement was his idea. According to Daniel, Victor approached him nearly a year earlier. Victor had one request. Get close to me. Earn my trust. Eventually propose. Daniel asked why. Victor simply said. Because the future of the company depends on it. At first Daniel thought it was just business strategy. Until he learned the truth. Victor didn't want influence. He wanted control. Our company wasn't just valuable. It was powerful. We were about to launch a new technology that could change an entire industry. Victor had invested heavily. But there was one problem. My father trusted me with the final approval. And Victor knew something about me. Something Daniel learned during the deal. I couldn't be manipulated. Unless someone I loved asked me. Daniel admitted something that complicated everything. He followed Victor's plan at first. He dated me. Earned my trust. Became part of my life. But somewhere along the way, things changed. The night you told me about your dreams, he said quietly. I realized I was betraying someone who deserved honesty. But by then, he was already trapped. When Daniel tried to walk away from the deal, Victor didn't argue. He threatened. Victor had evidence of Daniel's early involvement. Emails. Transfers. Contracts. If Daniel exposed the truth, Victor could destroy him. Not just financially. Legally. Victor would make it look like Daniel manipulated me alone. Daniel would take the fall for everything. That's when Lena entered the story. Victor recruited her too. Not to help Daniel, but to monitor him. She was supposed to report if Daniel developed feelings for me. At first she cooperated. But then she noticed something strange. Daniel was protecting me. Ignoring Victor's instructions. Changing the plan. And that's when Lena tried to stop the wedding. The text message suddenly made sense. Don't marry him. It wasn't jealousy. It was desperation. Lena was trying to save me. And maybe save Daniel too. Because Victor wasn't just planning a marriage. He was planning something much bigger. The next morning my father called an emergency board meeting. Victor wanted to finalize the company merger. The same merger Daniel had been sent to influence. And Victor expected me to approve it. After all, my fiancé supported the deal. Or at least he was supposed to. Victor believed the engagement had already secured my loyalty. I decided to confront Victor directly. When I walked into his office, He didn't look surprised. In fact, he looked impressed. I wondered how long it would take you, he said calmly. You paid Daniel to manipulate me, I said. Victor leaned back in his chair. I invested in opportunity. Victor didn't deny anything. In fact, he explained it like business strategy. Marriages have been used for alliances for centuries, he said. You're simply modernizing tradition. I felt sick. You turned my life into a negotiation. Victor smiled slightly. Your life was always a negotiation. That night Daniel made a decision that shocked me. He publicly refused to support the merger. In front of the entire board. In front of my father. In front of Victor. The room exploded with arguments. Victor looked furious. But Daniel didn't back down. For the first time, he chose me over the deal. I thought Daniel's decision would end everything. Instead, it made things worse. Because Victor finally revealed something none of us expected. Daniel wasn't the only person he had recruited. There were others. Inside the company. Inside my family's circle. Victor had been building influence for years. And my engagement was just one piece of his plan. Later that night, I received a message from an unknown number. Just one sentence. Your father knows about the deal. I stared at the screen in disbelief. Because if that message was true, then the betrayal went far deeper than Victor. It meant the person I trusted most in the world might have allowed this entire arrangement to happen. But the question I have asked myself is, did my father approve my engagement? I always believed my father would protect me. I was wrong. Because the man I trusted most in the world, the man I looked up to, was not just aware of the engagement deal. He had approved it. And worse, he had hidden a secret that could destroy everything. The same man who gave me life had been part of the system that tried to control it. And now, I had to decide. Do I confront him? Or do I survive first? It started with a text from an unknown number. Your father knows about the deal. I stared at it for minutes. My hands shook. My heart raced. Could it be true? Could the man I loved and trusted my entire life be complicit in the very plot that nearly destroyed me? I tried calling my father. No answer. I tried Daniel. He was as tense as I was. He had no idea. That night, I went to my father's study. The air smelled of old books and leather, comforting, familiar, yet tainted. Dad, I started, my voice trembling. Did you know about Daniel? About the engagement? He looked up from his papers. Calm. Unmoved. I knew, he said softly. I froze. You knew? I whispered. Not only that, he continued. I helped it happen. He told me everything. Victor Hale had come to him months before Daniel even met me. He said, you're in the middle of something bigger than love. The company. Your influence, it needs protection. You have to secure it through marriage. My father agreed. He thought it was harmless at first. Just a strategic alliance. But then Victor's requests escalated. Payments. Contracts. Rules. My father had signed off on all of it. He had allowed me to be manipulated. I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. The man I trusted most, the man who raised me, had treated me like a chess piece. I thought I had faced betrayal before. But this cut deeper than Daniel's actions. Daniel had followed orders at first. But my father had orchestrated the rules. It wasn't just a contract. It was family-approved deception. Daniel held my hand that night. I tried to stop it, he said quietly. I never wanted this for you. Not at any point. I fell in love, truly. But I was trapped. His confession collided with my father's betrayal. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. I wanted to believe that Daniel's love could override all of it. But how could I trust anyone anymore? Then I found it. A hidden folder on my father's computer. Transactions. Bank transfers. Emails. Contracts. Victor Hale. Daniel. My father. Every payment. Every plan. Every directive. All pointing to one conclusion. They had been building control over me for months. Even years. And my marriage had been the final step. That night, my mother came to me. She whispered, trembling. You don't understand. Your father thought he was protecting you. He thought Victor would ruin the company if you weren't married strategically. But protection comes with a price. And I wasn't the one who had agreed to it. I realized my entire world. My family, my fiancé, my future. Was built on secrets. Victor called that night. Your father's loyalty is admirable, he said. But it's not enough. The engagement was phase 1. Phase 2 is about controlling the board. And you, whether you approve it or not. I froze. Phase 2. I realized the danger wasn't over. Just when it seemed hopeless, Lena contacted me. I've been watching, she said. They didn't anticipate one thing, your father's conscience. He's scared. And scared people make mistakes. She handed me a plan. A way to protect myself. A way to expose Victor. And maybe even redeem my father. I confronted my father the next morning. Why? I asked, tears streaming. Why would you let them use me? He broke down. I thought I was saving you. I thought controlling your future was the only way to protect everything you've worked for. I never imagined it would hurt you this much. His confession didn't erase the betrayal. But it revealed a man trapped in fear. Not malice. With Daniel, Lena, and even some loyal executives, we began to plan. We needed evidence. Proof of Victor's manipulations. And we needed to make sure it reached the right people. Because this wasn't just about revenge. It was about survival. And redemption. Victor thought he was untouchable. He didn't account for loyalty beyond money. He didn't account for love that had become real. And he didn't account for the power of God's timing. Sometimes the system falls. Not because the players are weak. But because the truth cannot stay hidden forever. Just as we were about to move forward, Victor sent a message. One wrong move and you lose everything. Even your family. Then a photo appeared. My father. Alone with Victor. Smiling. I realized something terrifying. My father's redemption might require something even harder than forgiveness. That night, Daniel whispered. They're watching us. Victor knows every step we take. I looked at my father. I looked at Daniel. And I understood the truth. The battle for my marriage. And for my life. Had just begun. It begins clear now that there was. The hidden enemy inside my family, Victor strikes back. Victor strikes back. The marriage under siege. Victor Hale wasn't finished. He had watched us uncover every secret. Every betrayal. Every hidden payment. And now, he was coming for us. Not through emails. Not through contracts. Through people we loved. Through our marriage. Through fear itself. Because when Victor strikes, he doesn't aim for the heart. He aims to destroy everything it beats for. It started with small things. Daniel's work files went missing. Our bank accounts were temporarily frozen. Emails and messages vanished. At first, I thought it was coincidence. Then I saw the security footage. Victor's men were inside our building. They had been watching. And worse, they knew our schedules, our routines, even my father's movements. A message appeared on our phone. "Stop digging, or someone you love will pay." My father turned pale. Daniel clenched his fists. And I felt frozen. Victor wasn't just threatening. He was orchestrating a war. And the battlefield was our family. Our marriage. My father tried to intervene. "Let me handle this," he said. But every attempt he made seemed to backfire. Victor anticipated him. Blocked him. Outmaneuvered him. Even my mother whispered, terrified. "We can't fight him openly. He'll destroy us all." And that's when the first seed of doubt planted itself in my heart. Was my family truly on my side, or just trying to survive too? Daniel refused to back down. "We've uncovered too much already," he said. "If we don't finish this, he'll keep controlling us forever." I wanted to believe him. But fear clawed at me. And deep down, I knew he was right. Victor wouldn't stop until he either had complete control, or we were gone. It came at night. Our home alarm blared. Lights flashing. Shadows moving outside. I grabbed Daniel's hand. He looked at me, steady. "This is it," he whispered. "They're coming for everything we've built." We barricaded the doors. Called security. But deep down, I knew Victor wouldn't just stop at intimidation. The next morning, an anonymous tip appeared online. Videos. Photos. Documents. All exposing Daniel and me in ways we never imagined. Victor's strategy was psychological. Control us, isolate us, then break us publicly. The story would ruin our marriage, our family, even our company. And suddenly, I realized. Victor wasn't just attacking Daniel. He was attacking me. The bond between us. Lena called in a panic. "They're mobilizing their network. Every loyal executive. Every influencer who can manipulate public opinion. They'll turn the world against you." I swallowed hard. Because this wasn't just corporate warfare. This was personal. Daniel tried to reassure me. "I've got this," he said. "I'll protect you." But I saw the strain. The sleepless nights. The fear in his eyes. And suddenly I realized something terrifying. Victor didn't just want control over my life. He wanted to destroy our marriage. Because he knew. If we survived together, he'd lose everything. Then, unexpectedly, my father stepped forward. He had a plan. Risky. Dangerous. But it was the only way to expose Victor fully. We would bait him. Trick him into revealing everything. Use his own arrogance against him. But doing so meant risking everything we loved. Including each other. We created a fake document. An investment proposal that Victor couldn't resist. Every detail designed to make him act. Daniel, Lena, and I watched from a secure location. The clock ticked. Every second stretched into eternity. Then, it happened. Victor took the bait. Victor acted exactly as we predicted. Emails sent. Calls made. Plans executed. And for the first time, we had proof. Irrefutable. His network. His schemes. His manipulations. All documented. All exposed. We had him. Daniel and I confronted him publicly. "You tried to control my life," I said. "You tried to destroy my marriage." Victor smiled coldly. "You were always predictable." Daniel stepped forward. "And yet, you underestimated love. You underestimated faith. And you underestimated what happens when truth is revealed." Victor's calm faltered. For the first time, I saw fear in his eyes. Victor's network began to collapse. But then, the twist. Victor revealed a card we didn't anticipate. Someone close to Daniel, someone we trusted, had been feeding him information. And suddenly, the battle wasn't over. It had shifted. The enemy was now inside our circle. We realized one thing. Victor had lost control. But the war for our marriage, for our lives, was far from over. And the message that appeared that night made my stomach drop. You think you won. But the real game begins tomorrow. Watch out for the next episode. The insider who betrayed us.